This was my senior year and then
Mhm.
this was my freshman year. For some reason, and then I've got my junior year over there, but I don't know what happened to the sophomore year one. That would have been Oscar's senior year. Maybe we didn't do a poster that year.
We'll have to hunt one down. Actually, we could just recreate it. You guys are here now. I'm all for it.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to just if we keep doing these podcasts, I'll just have to keep rotating the the stuff behind me. Mm-hmm. And then this used to be hung in the room, I'm pretty sure. It's just like an old poster. 2004, it was like a flyer they hung around the yard for the Army Navy duel.
I like that. We should bring back. That's like got an older feel to it.
That one,
I have see
one.
That.
Yeah, you can't see it. I'll do this. This is kind of cool. It'll let me. I can switch the camera to. It might not let me.
Yeah, you can send me a picture after.
Yeah,
check it out then.
But it's a 1980s Army versus Navy match in Alumni Hall. It's pretty cool. And then I probably shouldn't be bragging about this, but I stole when they redid the locker room my sophomore year. There used to be like a placard, a sign in front of like the door that's like where you punch in the code that just said like Navy wrestling locker room. I took that.
No, you gotta have that. I'm actually upset I don't have like more history stuff of West Gym.
There's so much stuff laying around that we just have hanging up in closets, but yeah, man, I think the podcasts have been fun for me so far, and I really, everybody knows Colat. We'll get him on here eventually. Ty was fun because he gave us a good perspective from his background, and then how he got to Navy. And you and I have had conversations like offline about, how you got here. But I don't think a lot of the alumni really know you, and how successful of an athlete you were. And, how you kind of went from, you grew up in Independence, Iowa. You stay in Northern Iowa, to compete as a, collegiate athlete. And then you end up going to Fresno for a little bit. And I honestly, I forget that part of your background. I knew you were competing a little bit on the senior circuit, but you were also like working as an RTC guy, and then you found your way to Campbell. I kind of want to hear, if you could just, explain your background a little bit, how you get connected with Colat, and then, you're coming into your 5th season here at Navy. But yeah, talk us through a little bit, briefly about your high school experience, how you got connected to Northern Iowa and eventually back to Annapolis.
So yeah, from Independence, Iowa, went to Northern Iowa. Was only like 30 minutes down the road from where I grew up. So it just Doug Schwab was the head coach. That was his second year. I was his first recruiting class. So it was like, he was kind of getting something off the ground. It was it just felt right. Like you hear everybody say that. No other way to kind of put that in words. Was there from 2011, graduated in 2016. After that, I stayed there for like 8 or 9 months, I think. Was with the Panther Wrestling Club there with their RTC. And then Fresno State brought their program back, and they were kind of looking for RTC guys and, athletes to kind of help, come compete, bring a name to it again, coach, a little bit of stuff like that, help out in the room, right? So I was out there from 2017 through early 2019, and then got the call from Colat 2019. Went out, checked Campbell out, interviewed, was with him there for 1 year. When COVID actually hit, that was kind of the end of year 1 that I was with him.
Oh, you just got muted.
Oh, it muted me?
Oh, never mind. You're good.
All right. What was the last thing you heard there on that?
2017 through 2019, you were in Fresno.
Yeah, 2017 through 2019 was at Fresno. 2019 got a call in like March, April, maybe it might have been May, somewhere around there, from Colat. Went out, checked out Campbell. They were looking for a new upper weight coach. So went out, checked out the facilities, the place, the staff and Colat, and everybody liked everyone that was there. So
for you, world champ.
So I went out there, and after that was with them for one season, and then COVID hit. And then in April of 2020, that's when Colat got the job here. And then I came up with him. So this is, going on my sixth year, I believe sixth season of working with coach. So it's been good, definitely nice to have some stability in the coaching realm,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've definitely built up a strong reputation and relationship with him for sure. And I know you've made great strides with you guys as a team, made great strides down at Campbell, and now coming in at your fifth season, the recruiting classes are kind of falling in, and momentum is definitely swinging our way. Sorry, it just jumped. The sound kind of jumped. I was trying to pull up an old match. I'm gonna share it because I didn't, and this is kind of a decent segue. But you did compete. Let me see if – oh, shoot, it's not working.
Yeah, I competed 16, 17, 18 Olympic and world team trials to go with that. And then the Schultz match with it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen this, but so this is this when you're in –
Yep, I was still at Fresno at this point.
Say again?
I was at Fresno at this point.
Okay.
You can't show the beginning. Just watch me getting spiked on my head. Right
I haven't watched this yet, but
he puts it on me at the beginning.
Really?
Loses some steam towards the end, and then I inside trip him in the second.
In the second?
No, it's that dude was solid. I think he was 2014 world champ. Then he took silver. Right. He took silver to Snyder in 15 worlds, and then I'm not sure if he made the Olympics or not in 16, but he just got an itch to come out and compete again for some reason at the Schultz. And it was good, to be able to kind of put your hands on somebody at that level. So,
yeah. Wait, so do you know what the final was?
I pinned him.
You did?
Yeah.
Dude.
Like
okay.
6. I think it's like 6-0. Oh, yeah. No, it's just he sneaked. He gets one more takedown on me in the first. I want to say it's 6-0, maybe 6-1 when I find that. It's like I said, it's like with a minute left. We got into a little far ankle scramble here at the end of the first. I think we get blown back up to our feet here. Then after that, go to the corner. And then, it's just regrouping. Stephen Abbas was our club coach when we were out there too. So it was nice having a guy with him. He was like, be patient. Don't force anything, just take your way back as you come through. I mean, same thing that you see with, athletes at any level now. You don't have to come get it all back right at the very beginning. So
staying patient. You didn't worry because your composure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 5-1. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was one I thought I wasn't going to be able to find it on him a little bit later because I definitely jumped the gun too early, trying to come out and inside trip him from the jump, but then it just kind of let the match. So, yeah,
Could you feel him? Could you feel him kind of start to fade? Is that
definitely. Well, this was where he didn't really pick up. Like he hit that really nice duck on me in the first, as you so graciously started out to have me get dropped on my head to begin with. But he came out and I could tell he was trying to really, really get a couple more scores just to be off the mat. And then that was where it was just, all right, start faking, snapping, moving a little bit more, and then put myself just in a nice little body lock position later on, and worked out.
And this dude was a silver medalist?
Champ in 14 and then silver in 15. It's who Snyder beat when Snyder became his first championship. I think he beat him in Vegas, I want to say.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. And this was, you said you were at Fresno.
Mm-hmm.
Was this one of the like did you competed at trials? Oh, there it is. And you stick them here?
Yep.
Let's go. Oh, snap. You get the little flex there. All right.
I was pretty hyped up. I mean, I hadn't had so this was one. So for me, it was yeah. I mean, going into my senior year, I was just looking to get on the stand, win a national title, and go get into coaching. And then I got the mumps, which pulled me out of NCAAs. So after that, I remember Tolly Thompson and Doug and those guys being like, "Hey, you only sat out like a week and a half," because I had to be like quarantined in my room by myself for that little bit. They were like, "You haven't been off the mat that long, man. Like, why don't you just get in shape? Come back." Last chance was I think like 2 weeks after that or something like that. Won the last chance and then competed at 2016 Olympic trials and then competed at 2017 and 2018 World Team Trials. And kind of my rule for competing on the senior levels, I was like, all right, I want to give myself opportunities, to see how far I can go. And I think there's some people that kind of hang on a little too long in the senior level, when it's like, hey, it's my time to go. And my rule was just the year I regressed at, World Team Trials, or if I didn't make, a trials, that was going to be time to hang it up and, enter the coaching world. So competed with the Panther Wrestling Club from 2016 through like a little bit of 2017. Then was out at Fresno 2017, 18, and then early 19. And then that's when I got hooked up with Coach Colat. So
the plan was always to go into coaching. Like you knew that from the beginning.
Yeah, I'd always wanted to. It's just, instead of getting in the 2019-20 season, I initially I was going to look to try and find somewhere, 16, 17, like right when I got done with school.
Was that transition hard? Going from an athlete's mindset to a coach's mindset, and not just mindset too, but like I think you kind of have to rewire the way that you structure your training, and the way that you yourself as an athlete, but as a coach, what I've learned in the relatively short time that I've been in the office with you guys and from a coaching perspective, it's you can't coach everybody the same, and that can be difficult and frustrating at times, especially coming out of an athlete mindset and knowing yourself and how you trained and stuff. So like, how long did that take you to transition, or do you still feel like or is it the same, like has it changed at all?
I mean, there's always going to be little bits and pieces where it's like, I feel like, if you've wrestled, you never truly, you're always like, there's that thought in the back of your mind where like, I could go out there and I could still do this. Cause you start getting in the room. Well, it's like, you become a better wrestler because you're a coach. You don't care anymore. Like you start trying stuff. There are things that, I'll try and do now that I would have never even, contemplated doing, when I was an athlete. It was like, stay in my areas where I'm good, get back to my areas where I'm good, build from there. Now it's just like, like, no, it's no pressure, right? So you do that changes a little bit. I guess in terms of, you hit the nail on the head when you said not everybody can be coached the same. Like there are some people want to be, like hard done. Some people you gotta, build up and give a little more, positivity and love to. Some people it's a little bit of a middle ground. It's just about knowing your athletes and seeing what they respond to. And, like there are some times where, if you need a little push or a little shove to get yourself going, you got to give that too, right? Like wrestling in college it's tough, like nobody wrestles in college because they're wanting to be like, oh, this is going to be the easiest 4 years of my life. Like everybody does this because it's a hard venture. So,
right.
There's that time where you have to have that, where no matter how they're feeling, like you have to have your push days, get through some of that soreness, that tired, the fatigue, the mental aspect as well. But I think it's just, as a coach, you also have all sorts of different skill sets, all sorts of different mindsets. So I know necessarily what got through to me is going to get through to some people, but I also know other people, it's not going to reach and touch it all. So that's where, taking bits and pieces from, Doug and Tolly and Randy and Mark when I was out at UNI, and then, Steiner and Izzy and, Chamberlain and Cologne when I was at Fresno State, and then, being here with Colat and, Eustace and Barry and everybody now, that's definitely something that, you've got tons of different experiences, tons of different reactions to go with it. And, you're not always going to make the right choice, but it's about picking the best set of actions in that time that you can be like, okay, this is going to maximize this guy's effort and potential.
Right. And I think you said a bunch of good stuff there. So I think what makes the coaching staff at Navy so unique is there are so many different backgrounds and personalities. Like Barry, you and Barry like have different personalities completely. And I think what at least from what I've observed is people respond differently to the way that, his approach, and certainly you guys have kind of found pockets of people that you can influence in different ways. And I think that like diversity, I guess is the right way to put it, is and versatility of the staff that I've seen, and so much experience. I think what did we calculate? Like over 78 years of coaching
it's
experience.
like almost 80 years if you throw everybody in here together. So
yeah,
I mean, shoot, Barry's coaching career might be older than me, so
right.
It's like that guy's definitely got answers and, has seen scenarios that I haven't even thought of yet. So it's great to have that around.
Yeah. Another thing you said, and I was going to get to it, but you just said it. So I, wanted you to kind of expand on it a little bit, because you mentioned this over the weekend after the UNC Drexel doubleheader. And when you said it, it really resonated with me, because it's stuff that I have thought about my entire athletic career to this point, and you just said it, is like wrestling is hard. But not only, like, that's a fact, but I think as a Navy wrestler, you not only need to know that expectation, but you have to want it. You got to crave that difficulty. And that was one of the things that when I competed at Navy, is like we prided ourselves on making the match as difficult as possible, the practices as hard as possible. We wanted to go to those deep waters and make that 7-minute match feel like a 30-minute war. And we didn't talk about this. This is just something that you said after the duel, but obviously you've thought that way, you've coached that way. So I think that's something that's important, not only for our athletes to hear, but the people who do watch this and listen to it, whether it's parents or fans or alumni. Like, just talk me through that thought process for you, and why expecting difficult things not only makes you and wanting those difficult things, wanting wrestling to be hard, why that prepares you to be a better athlete, but not just, but a better officer, naval officer, Marine officer, and prepares you for life, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's the all-encompassing thing. It's like, it's just going to make you better, an all-around human being. Like you said, being a better officer, being a better husband, father, friend, mentor, wrestler, whatever it may be. Like, hard things are always when things are easy, everybody, is, yeah, let's go do this, right? But it's when things get hard. I mean, in wrestling specifically, you're going to look at most of the time your guys in the stand, your national champs. It's not, you can always pick, there's every year, you could cherry pick and be like, oh, well, that kid was just ridiculously talented. And that is true for a very small percentage of people. For the most part, it is who's tougher, who's ready to wrestle 7 minutes harder. Like you said, like that round of 12, a lot of times, a lot of grit, it's an extra mat return. It's, fighting off an extra shot. It's taking an extra shot. It's, just coming up off the bottom one more time. Those are the little things where the work, and when I say work, it's all like, one of the terms we use is like a quarter point in a front headlock. Like, I may not score in a front headlock, but I'm going to drag this guy down. I'm going to bounce him around for a little bit. And I might not score there, but I know I just took out some of his back, his neck, his legs. He's going to be thinking the next time my hands come to him, oh, am I getting pulled in a front headlock? So he's going to react differently, which is going to allow me to have different sets of my offense to open up. You can look at a lot of matches. How many times do you see somebody get mat returned more than 5 times in a match? Doesn't happen very often. Most people, by that first or second, they're like, nope, too hard. They're going to let you go. So, mat returning, coming up off the bottom multiple times, mat returning people multiple times, all that kind of stuff is just extra work, where I don't get an extra point for every mat return I do, but that might be what takes it out of the guy enough for me to ride him for an entire period, or it's what I need to do to end a period on top after a takedown, So it's always, the little things are how you do the big things. And it's one where sometimes people are like, well, how do I know what little things I need to do, right? Everybody's set of little things is going to be differently. Some people's is footwork, some people's mental, some people's technique, some people's weightlifting, right? That's again where coaching comes in, where you have to sit down, you have to say, okay, this guy's not big for X weight class. You need to start lifting a little more. We've got a great strength and conditioning team here. You've also got, like you said, 80 something years of coaching experience here that can tell you how to do a lift, right? I mean, you've got everybody who's gone up to heavyweight from myself to, people who've been cutting down, like 118 and 125 in the past. So you've got all sorts of experience there when it comes to that. You can go to everybody with technique. And that's again, where it's like, I know my work for technique on my feet is going to be different than what, Colette, Barry, or Eustace is going to show. So it's about putting the right person with the right guy and making sure that they're going to have that work as efficiently for them as possible. Because, if you do a lot of work, but there's no point to it and you're doing it really inefficiently, like I can take 50 shots. Yeah. But if they're not 50 good setup shots, or they're just all from space and I'm diving, it doesn't matter. So that's where those components of work has to be a little smart, but you still need the work. And then in terms of that, it always comes down to, if you got through the hard times when you were here in school, you had a paper due, then you had to go, make weight, then you had to go scrap against somebody who's tough, you made it to day 3 of the NCAA tournament, getting through that stuff. Those are all lessons that are going to carry on with you in life, like life's going to be hard. There's going to be times you have to make tough choices with your career. There's going to be times you have to make tough choices with your family, how to allocate your time, all of that, so I don't think any of that changes. I should say it changes, but it's just your priorities and it change, where instead of it's wrestling in school, eventually that's going to be wrestling, your career and your family, that's going to replace those things. And then later on down the line, it's, going to be replaced by something else. So it's just applying everything that you're doing right now into the facets of your life as you get older.
Yeah, for sure. I think wrestling it builds a foundation, like a mental and work ethic foundation that can really resonate and transcend into other aspects of your area. You talked about being a leader for your family, into your school, Blaze, how many guys, and I'm not even just talking about our team, but typically if you're a good wrestler, like you're probably a good student as well. That work ethic, and being able to balance your life and prioritizing things, usually, they work together. So better athletes, better wrestlers are typically strong students as well. And I think it definitely translates into other aspects of your life too, as you grow. For our guys, it's turning into, naval and Marine officers, and then future husbands. And so I agree completely. On all of that.
If doing the easy choice, was the right thing to do, everybody in life would be successful. That's
100%.
Wrestling and doing this is the right, like the work, the foundation, the mentality, the ethics of it just translate into everything, because 99.9% of the time, what you do on a wrestling mat is going to be hard, and it's going to be into the pressure, and it's, everything else. Basketball, you're getting double teamed, you kick it out. Football, they throw 11 in the box, you pass it. Baseball, they put the shift on, you hit away from it, right? Wrestling, you're getting snapped, you go into it and you squat down and, you get your pressure back in. Like, you're getting tight-waisted, you go into the pressure. Like, that's just wrestling. And I think that's why it just creates such great leaders and, great people. And it literally carries on into your life, into everything else that you do.
Yeah. With that being said, like I said earlier in the conversation, is like when you mentioned that last weekend, it really hit me, from a personal mindset perspective. But, with all that being said, like how did you feel about this past weekend? Who really you thought stepped up? And overall, for my what I saw, I think we built from Pittsburgh. Like, I think we're moving in the right direction. This is we're moving in the right direction, and we definitely built off of, the previous weekend. But I just wanted to hear your thoughts, because we haven't talked about this really.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Drexel, guys came out to scrap, people ready to pull the trigger. We were riding tough. We were getting turns. That's something that we've been trying to map for people as well as, your takedowns, your shot attempts, your turns, your turn attempts, all of that. I think people were wrestling pretty well. That's actually ridiculous that they didn't give this a takedown. I'm going to have to go off of that. But, I thought we came out, Totten, got us kicked off really well. Big 7-point move, kind of propelled him to victory with it, but he didn't, lay off the gas. He kept trying to score. It was just one of those where not going to work out every time that you want it to, but he went out and capitalized on the moment that he had. Big duck to a body lift and got through. Danny Wask, was wrestling a lot more free. That's definitely one that he's pretty dangerous when he's hitting stuff like that right there. I think as a whole, our lineup was starting to, give themselves more opportunities, more chances. In terms of going into the North Carolina duel, probably had, I don't want to say a lull, but there was a bit more weight and, see and feel. You still had your people like Peyton Thomas. Love the way that dude's just been going out and, just ripping double legs and body locks and, looking to score points, right? Like that's a guy. Coder Hant, same thing. He's been going out. He's been letting his hands move more freely, shoot. There definitely is that, some ugly wrestling sometimes is what it takes to get through people to go get those scores. And I like that those guys are doing that because the ugly wrestling sets up, your good stuff or your slick stuff, however you want to say it. I think it's still just, giving ourselves more opportunities to go underneath and, making sure that, you're taking the last shot, you're getting the last takedown, you're trying to find an escape at the end. That's the kind of stuff that we're starting to see more of, but even now it's like, you see those numbers go up and it's keep bumping those things up every single time you compete to the point where it's like, oh, I don't know if I can get any more because I'm taking, 30 shot attempts in a match. Like pretty hard to start climbing some of those hills once you're doing that consistently, day in and day out.
Yeah.
So I like the direction it's going. Mentality's good. Guys are scrapping. So it's just looking forward to this weekend, with Iowa State and then, being home here for the Navy Classic again. Get some guys some tournament titles here.
Yeah, that was going to be my next thing is, feeling towards Iowa State. A lot of these guys have not competed. It's a young team. A lot of these guys have not competed in a hostile environment like Iowa State, probably. You have competed there / coach there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what talk us through a little bit what that may be like for our guys.
It's just like anywhere, right? It's sometimes when you'll see kids have it when they first get to their, the NCAAs for the first time or, a big venue like that. Get out there a little early, kind of soak it in. So that way, when you get out there, it's not too shocking. At the end of the day, it's always like, you gotta like some people, I'm a firm believer that, if you tell me you're not scared or not nervous, that's kind of BS, right? Like everybody's got a little bit of nerves. Everybody's got like, there's always a little bit creeping in, right? But it's the people who, are able to say, nope, not getting, on through, not thinking about that anymore. And you kind of push it out. So I think they're going to get out there. It's definitely important that you get in the venue, you soak it in early, and then you don't sit in that energy, for too long, because eventually you start getting wrapped up and somebody's in a tight match. And then you start wrestling more matches than just your own when it's like, hey, my job right now is to go wrestle this. I'm fifth up, on deck, and I need to do my job. So maybe my job is get out in the tunnels or go back to the locker room and, keep your energy controlled, keep your breathing controlled, and, don't ride that adrenaline wave that comes with, big moves and takedowns and, tight matches and everything else that goes with that.
Right. Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good point. Definitely excited to see how the guys continue to build off of, last weekend, and then we're rolling right into Navy Classic the following weekend. And we're kind of like transitioning into tournaments. That's different energy. You kind of talked about energy. Tournaments are long days. You don't necessarily have the momentum of your teammates to build off of. But how those guys respond individually and as a team is important. And I think, you've said all of this, but just continuing to build, score points, get underneath guys, take chances, risks, and build leads and score points, make things exciting, and have fun, So anyway, man, I really appreciate you hopping on and giving us a little bit about you. talking us through, your athlete to coaching transition, what you thought about the duel this past weekend, and what's to come in the coming weeks. So, you got anything else for me, Blaze?
Nah, just go Navy, beat everybody.
Let's go. All right, man. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yep. See ya.